My content is for 13 and up or adult collectors of the product. Hello everyone, so for this video, this is like just a Pro Series guide for consumers and all that stuff. So if you want to get Pro Series, or even if you know Pro Series and you just want to find out what are good and what is bad, this is the video. I want to give a member shout out, so shout out to Great Lad, Aid, Beyblade Rose, Gary, Marcus, DJ, Seb, Chris O, Adlan, Sol, and yeah, again, a huge shout out to our channel members. It is an optional way to support the channel, and I greatly do appreciate it. And enjoy the video. The video is just going over very basic, no real editing in this. Just really wanting to explain in depth pros and cons, so enjoy. Alright, so we're going to go over it. So I do want to make clear too that the general consensus that is true that I have done is that the plastic and materials are weaker than the original character TOMY. They're just using cheaper materials or whatever, right? Now, issues or whatever, that's a little bit dependent per release. Doesn't mean all of them, just means some of them. And I'll try to explain, or if there's any good part choices or whatever, I'll mention in the thing. And this is, again, just for a guide for the buyers and everything, or consumers that those are wondering. So we're going to start off one by one. So the first one that I had here was Orb Engaard. So, I mean, the layer was a good choice for defense. It was pretty good in Cho-Z. It does suffer from teeth wear, though. Aside from that, rest of it's okay. You know, parts are fine, but to also really stress about, it's not just that they're little white marks or whatever. It's the idea that it does make it have worse burst resistance. So teeth wear is bad because the resistance gets worse. Now, obviously, teeth wear happens no matter what for the original Japanese product. And with Pro, just Pro is a lot more accelerated, right? So I always want to make it clear, right, that I am aware that teeth wear is a thing. It's just not to the extent that Pro has it. And again, it's not just the white marks and everything. Yes, if it's a tiny one, there's one difference. But eventually, if the things shred pretty easily, it's a different story. Aside from that, for the disc, which is Sting, and the performance tip is Quest. So Sting was a solid disc that was released in GT. They did do a good job picking out that disc. And also, they're just showing the layer right there again. The layer, everything else about it is okay, but yeah, just showing the Sting disc and whatever. Disc is fine, solid. Quest was really just like a joke driver, so if you are wondering if Quest was actually good, it wasn't, but whatever. Other than the layer, pretty much the rest of it is fine, right? So, yeah, just showing again, just to make sure I have it clear that for what it is. Next up, so the other one for Wave 1, and oh yeah, by the way, also the Quest driver, it kind of depends. I've had copies where it's fine, sometimes not, but I think for some reason the suction cup kind of lasts a little bit less than the original, but probably is just maybe, I don't know, X factor possibly. For Cho-Z Valtryek, again, this one, the issue is just the layer, teeth wear, so obviously burst resistance is a lot worse. The other thing too is that since the plastic is weaker, overall it is more prone to chippage and breakage, so please keep that in mind. But aside from that, I mean, it has the Blitz disc, right? Blitz was a solid disc for GT, so that was a cool choice. They did pick the Jolt driver. So, TAKARA TOMY has a release that is called a Dash driver, and basically, they didn't pick the Dash version of it, which is just a tighter version, better resistance and whatever, so for me, if I ever see that they had the opportunity between Dash and no Dash, and they pick no Dash, then yeah, you know, it could be something that they should have done. So really, Jolt is the only bad thing on that one, aside from teeth wear. And next up is Cho-Z Achilles, which is a very strange case for what I've seen for cases reported. And keep in mind, doesn't mean 100% at all. Just means it is potentially, possibly can occur. But, you know, right? It depends, right? It depends. The only thing, and again, I always have to say it's very dependent on the thing. I think for the more extreme cases, it's very rare. The only thing that is common is really just the teeth wear. So for Cho-Z Achilles, which is the layer right there, I've seen, for an example, someone add their driver brake or whatever, but, you know, that's like, I've seen someone where the metal is actually chipped off. Now, these are where I would say are the extreme cases. Aside from that, the whole release seems okay to me. There's nothing really else. aside from the teeth wear, right, the rest of it seems fine. So again, the rest of it seems fine. For the parts chosen, there was a dash version of Dimension they didn't choose, whatever. Double O, they could have given it a frame, but aside from that, like I've mentioned, for the potential issues or whatever, it's perfectly okay. So, yeah, as we go through the waves, because I do realize I have to cover them like almost twice, because they repeat parts and whatever, right? So it always gets to like this thing where sometimes I have to reiterate. So for the set things, we're going to go over. So for the black Cho-Z Achilles, literally the exact same thing as the original one. Same idea, teeth wear, worse burst resistance because of it. The disc was a very odd choice. They could have at least given it a frame, and the tip was good. Absorb was a nice tip that they picked, so this is for the Pro Series set, and I'm only really covering the base. The stadiums are fine and whatever, I want to say that, but for Cho-Z Valtryek, it does come with, what is it, Zenith and Destroy Dash. So first of all, for the layer, yes, teeth wear, like I've just mentioned. Zenith disc is fine. It's really only good for Cho-Z Valkyrie, to be quite honest, and the driver is Destroy Dash. Now, while I've just mentioned Dash, this is not actually a Dash. However, there is confusion that all of Hasbro's Dashes is not actually Dash. It was only on the set version where it was like that, for whatever the reason was. And aside from that, Cho-Z was, yeah, fine. That's kind of it. I think just to cover the stadium too. The stadium is solid, probably the best stadium that Hasbro has ever done. So I'm just double checking this stuff. Yeah, but no, aside from that, I think it's fine. Next up is Perfect Phoenix. So same idea again with teeth wear on it, which you're pretty much gonna hear me say almost the exact same thing for almost all of them. 8- and proof is like fine. You get the proof frame because they never actually released it until that point. The friction, I've had the issue where some copies could potentially be loose. Doesn't mean all the frictions, obviously not, but it is still an issue that does arise from it. That can be a thing if you get it. Not all the time, obviously. Not every single copy either. Judgment, again, also teeth wear. Pretty much all of them. Zero Glaive was fine. Ultimate Reboot, there was a Dash version. They could have picked the Dash version. Why they didn't, we'll never know. Just kidding. They just did a release later on with it, which was whatever. They could probably just get a different tip, I guess. Aside from that, what else am I going to mention? So yeah, aside from the teeth wear, Judgment's actually better. The Pro's better than the original JP release because of the rubber. TT has harder rubber than... no, reverse. Pro has harder rubber than TAKARA TOMY, so it actually hits harder than the Hasbro one because Hasbro has softer rubber. Softer rubber grips more, harder rubber gives more push, so that is one actually pretty good positive to the Pro Joker. Aside from that, I believe there's been some reports on Ultimate Reboot maybe breaking and maybe activation times, but there's never really been anything else on it. So this is actually a pretty good one. So aside from all the other parts, let's say you're just TT only or whatever, hey, the base is pretty good. So, or if maybe you get the base and you just put a chip that doesn't really have the issue of wearing, then I would say pretty much issue averted. And yeah, I'm very careful with the wording now because I'm trying to make sure whenever I say it, I'm not saying 100%. Obviously, it's still a thing that can occur, but you know. So moving on to the following wave, which is... Oh no, actually, before we get to that, Zwei, excuse me. So yes, Zwei does have issues with wear on the teeth. That is faster again, like I said, teeth wear again. Whenever I say it, I mean it's faster than the TAKARA TOMY. Blitz, they just repeated, it's a solid disc. Now the Extend Plus, I've seen people, and I think I've gotten at least one good copy where it's okay, but the general issue is that the sharp part's not as extended even on the good copies as TAKARA TOMY, so it basically virtually means that all three modes are exactly the same. There are some copies where they're good, and on the best copy of it that you can possibly get, it's not too bad, but yes, it is still something that I would say is present, and that is a little bit annoying to deal with the driver. And hopefully you don't get a bad mold of it. This is, again, just based on what I've seen people say, and you'll probably see me put screenshots or whatever anytime I mention certain stuff like that, or I'll probably have shown in the original review. What's next? Oh, so Balkesh. Lord, and then afterwards a command. Okay, so to go over with Soul Balkesh, this is actually wound specific. First of all, teeth wear, yes, and also I had a friend, Fried Pasta, who actually showed me a screenshot where they had an Eternal that was defective, apparently, and it's, I guess, something you can run into. The other thing, too, is that sometimes there are teeth that were just naturally weak by design, and Pro just didn't do it any favors for actual wear. So anytime, again, like I mentioned it is just accelerated. That's really it. That's really it. Aside from that, Balkesh has Eternal, which was solid for stamina. Paradox, which was only really good for really naked. You could maybe use it for other stuff. Or, excuse me, Soul, because that's the name. Balkesh was really maybe good for like attack dash. Soul was good for left spin defense / stamina. 10 was also solid, so yeah. And also I mentioned previously too, like the other parts are pretty much, so anytime, unless it's very specific, I'll probably say no. Like Phoenix is obviously perfect. Phoenix is solid. Zwei and Lunar are solid. Mets, you know what I mean? They're very like smaller stuff, which I don't think I need to mention, but just to reiterate, unless I specifically mention an issue, then it's fine. So Lord was pretty much solid. There's no teeth wear or anything. They just picked a bad tip for it. Just weak or whatever. But aside from that, this is probably one of the best Pro Series releases still to this date. And it's a fresh and easy way to get Lord, even if it isn't the original stock combo, which is the original combo released. Aside from that, yeah, rest has been solid. There's another thing with Command, which I'm going to show, which apparently, like Achilles, there's the potential issue of the metal could be breaking off. Now, does that mean it's 100% or it can happen all the time or whatever? No, but it is something that definitely can occur. And I do want to reiterate, that does not mean every single copy that you get, just maybe potentially it could happen. And it's like this thing that's very... And other than that, there's no real teeth wear. All the parts are solid on it, so yeah. Phoenix has been solid for pretty much just really the layer in specific. Zwei has been good for pretty much all of it if you get the best possible. Soul, same idea. Lord, other than the tip. Command, good for pretty much everything. So again, one of the best releases that they've actually done. For the new Pro set, where they have Wizard and they have Sword, we're going to now jump into that. So with Sword and Wizard, both of them suffer from teeth wear. The Sword layer base was not good. Retsu is solid. Sting is a good disc. Extreme Dash is like one of the best attack drivers in the game and one of the best releases for Pro. Wizard has Zan, fine. Actually, also to mention, because this just came to my head, with Wizard and Command, they both feature Mold 2. So basically, Wizard Bahamut is TAKARA TOMY's Mold 2 of Wizard, and the Black Imperial is what the Command is based on. So the molds that they're using is good actually for this one, not for the teeth in that one. But the idea with the newer molds is that the teeth are more exposed, the less exposed they were on the original ones. Obviously, it's an issue. But the good thing is that they picked the newer mold, so that is good. Anyways, Wizard's pretty much solid overall, I would say. So Wizard was kind of nice to use, so is Fafnir, but Ratchet and Rise are pretty solid. So yeah, aside from that, they typically do pick the most present mold sometimes, but there's always inaccuracies with their production. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. They're very consistent in being inconsistent, which is a joke that I have made, because sometimes they do perfect, sometimes they do not. So moving on from there, it's where we get to like the last bunch, and you'll probably hear me clicking or whatever, but yeah, the entire way for this one, so for Ace Dragon, for that one, it does feature burst blockers that Lord does have. So both of them have little like stoppers or whatever, right? But one thing I want to make clear is that you should never buy this unless you just want to have it for collection reasons. Like Command is way better than it. But the stoppers, which is the same on Lord, is just in the middle of the layer base, a little plastic bit just to block the disc. they picked it. Ace was never really good, and the parts on it aren't really that good other than Dragon 2, but again, I would just say get Command is my best recommendation. Very passable. Aside from that, other ones are very solid. Oh, and also the reboot driver could potentially have weird activation times, but it's so dependent on the copy. Don't really worry about it, to be honest. So, as I've been talking about now, Master Devolos and Cobra. So, Devolos is solid. The only issue is just really... I mean, both have really easy issue of the stock. So, I think that's like, was that 12 turn Zeta? Yeah, that stock is not good. I mean, like, turn, I guess if you don't already have the frame, and same with the other one that had proof on the thing. But Zeta was not a good tip, and there was also a dash version that they could have picked that they did not. Aside from that, it's pretty much solid. Cobra was very hard to get for TAKARA TOMY, so for collector's reasons, it is pretty solid. It does have wall, but aside from that, nothing's really special out of the Cobra release. And yeah, there was also a dash version of Keep that they could have picked, and they did not. I've also kind of just... Oh, also with the Keep thing, I've had this issue where on my copy, the rubber doesn't rotate or whatever. It's supposed to rotate, but that is very dependent on what you get. So similar to friction, something that can happen, but doesn't mean it will. Well, you'll see. So we're going to move on to the last wave, and with Union Achilles, obviously the layer base of Union was not that special. Achilles was a solid chip. There was teeth wear, but I do have a feeling that just because of how the teeth were designed, it's not... I kind of let it slide, but also it is a little bit faster than TAKARA TOMY. Extend Plus pretty much has the exact same issue as this Vi one. You might get a good copy or might not. Convert was solid or whatever. Retsu is fine. Harmony had good parts for 10 and Expand. Revolve was not good, simply was outclassed. Harmony had the issue of where Pegasus could experience teeth wear. And yeah, aside from that, that's been pretty much it. There's Apocalypse to end off, but aside from that, I think I've pretty much been covering. So there are some stuff that are good, some stuff that isn't, and this can at least give you a better guide overall. We're going to get to Apocalypse in a moment. So Prime Apocalypse, the only issue has just been my Ultimate Reboot Dash. The issue is just kind of just the weird activation time. Is it on every single Ultimate Reboot Dash? Probably not, but just to mention. So as I'm going through the stuff, I'm going to be reiterating now as a recap what's good and what isn't. Valtryek, the Cho-Z Valtryek was good for an attack layer during Chozetsu. Blitz was solid. Jolt should have been dash. Achilles was solid for attack. Devolos should have had a frame, but it's a good disc. Dimension should have been dash. Engaard was a good defense layer. Sting is a good disc. Quest was a meme driver, wasn't really good, but still. Perfect Phoenix layer was very solid. 8-dash wasn't really good, but they just paired it up because they never released the proof frame. Then after that, Friction, not a good driver. Judgment Joker, Zero Englaive, are fine, whatever. Ultimate Reboot should have been dash. Sen is fine or whatever. Zwei, good. Lunar, good. Metsu, good. Blitz, good. Extend Plus, it is good. If you get the best copy, it is good. Soul Balkesh, Chip, good. Paradox Disc is good, but really just for really stolen specific. Eternal is also, I would say, like decent for stamina. 10, also a solid layer weight. Command, all the parts are good and solid for it. Lord, all the parts except for Fusion Dash are solid for it. Master Devolos, really just the layer and the chip are good. Ace Dragon, really just the chip, and maybe if you want to say the weight. Cobra is really just for collector's reasons. If you want to maybe say the wall frame, you could. Union Achilles, the Achilles chip is good. Convert is good. Extend Plus is also good. If you want to use, if you have the best copy, by the way. Harmony, Pegasus is good. Harmony is really just good against lefts. 10 and Expand are good. Revolve is outclassed. Sen, like, it depends on what layer weights you have or whatever. I've done the GT tier list, so just see that. Apocalypse layer's not really good, but it's like very niche use. Zero Dagger, Zero's good. Dagger is very outclassed. Ultimate Reboot Dash is a solid attack driver. And that is it. So I have tried to cover to the best of my ability and also tried to be the most fair. And also, obviously, for the set ones, I've already said Cho-Z Valtryek for the set. All the parts are good except for the... Well, I mean, specifically for Cho-Z, but like within the specific layers that are isolated, everything except for the destroy driver because it's not dash. Achilles, everything except for the disc. For the sword and wizard, sword basically everything but the layer base, wizard basically everything except for maybe the chip in if you want to argue the layer base, and that is it. Okay, so now 200%, we have covered Pro, I would think, very fairly and very honestly. I don't think I was unfair with anything. I tried to say it can happen, but also this, that, and this. And hopefully you can use this video as a guide and a good reference point for Pro Series. So if you're interested in Pro Series, whatever, there you go, right? There you go. And that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions about Pro Series or if you ran into any issues, feel free to put it in the comments section. Aside from that, yes, there is future Pro waves, and this is not over yet, so I will probably do eventually future parts with later waves to cover. Aside from that, I hope Pro Series will just be better, and hopefully they don't repeat any quality control issues, and hopefully it's going to be okay. A lot of stuff can be chalked up to very specific, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day and bye.